Hi, welcome again to the Tapestry of Loss, our third episode, and I'm Ashana.
I'm Marcia, and this is our guest today, Charmadean. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Marcia. Hi, Shana.
Welcome, Charmadean. And today we are talking about loss. As we said before, this program, this channel is looking at loss from many different aspects, not just about losing a loved one, which we understand and we celebrate, but today Charmadean's here to talk to us about losing identity. Yes, so Charmadean, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
So telling you about myself. Well, obviously my name's Charmadean because you've introduced me, and coincidentally, Shauna's my mum.
Hi.
So we have a similar, and Marcy is my friend's mum. So we have similar journey in terms of loss. But for me, losing my sister was a lot about losing a sense of my identity. So my sister is younger than me. We both were born in the 80s. She's 3 years younger than me, to be precise. I married, 2 children, and have grandchildren as well. And one of those I also have been bereaved. So the loss is quite enormous, especially in the last, I'd say, 4 years. But there's been loss prior to that in terms of grandparents, family members and friends as well. So loss forms part of my identity, but my identity isn't just about the loss, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course it does. Yeah. So you mentioned losing your sister, my daughter, obviously Marcia's friend. So you talked about losing your identity. So explain what did that feel like?
I think it's quite bizarre really, because with my sister being 3 years younger than me, I, up until the point that she passed away, I don't remember what life was like before she was born, because I would have only have been like 2.5, 3 myself.
Yes.
So in my mind, my relationship with my sister is as old as I am. So she would have been my first friend, my first companion, the first person I had a fight with, you know, sharing memories of being cared for, being parented, going to my nan's house and things like that. So our journey was quite parallel.
Yes.
So in terms of losing identity, it's like, okay, then now the person that I'm most connected to from birth, technically, is no longer there. So it's that there's a void in terms of that person riding along with you.
So would you say that was at the point at that time that you realised that your identity has changed? You're no longer the person that you were?
I think I didn't realise that it was part of my identity until it wasn't part of my identity. So I think there's a taken for granted a person that you have in your life that it's just the status quo, isn't it? That's my sister, that's our mum, you know, we grew up together, go to school together, catch a school bus together, you know, lots of different things. But I don't think I realised that my sister formed part of my identity until she no longer formed part of my identity.
That's profound, really, isn't it?
Yes.
That, you know, because you're right. Because I think we think that we're a family, we have families, we have friends, but we don't necessarily relate that individual as part of your identity. You know what I mean? In the way that you're explaining it. So when Chantal passed, how soon after, if that's the right way to word it, did you realise that part of your identity had lost? You lost part of your identity. You know, how long was it after that? Was it straight away? Or
I don't think it was straight away. So I think if I give you a bit more about my background, which I forgot to mention earlier. So my career is I'm a social worker. So in my role, and I'm a children's social worker. So in my role, we look at sort of the complexities of children's experiences, and so we look at identity in terms of shaping the child's journey and then how we respond.
That's right.
So that's been something that's like a major movement in social work at the moment around EDI and a child's identity. And I've been having a lot of conversations over the past few years with social workers in my role as sort of as a team manager, sort of senior role, in terms of identity is not just I'm a black Afro-Caribbean woman and I'm a Christian and I'm 46 and I've got 2 children. It's about my position in the family. It goes beyond what you can see. So as I've been sort of delving more into it from a professional standpoint, what's happened is I've started to reflect on my own self. So when I'm having conversations with social workers, what I'm saying to them is, okay, then so what can you tell me about this child? And they can tell me just the basics, what you can see, but I'm also saying to them, okay, then so what can you tell me that you can't see about their identity? So it's about like intersectionality, which is all these different aspects of a person that forms their identity. And because of that, then I'm starting to think, hold on a minute, what forms your identity? And then I'm realising that actually my sister formed a massive part of my own identity. So you would, and because our names are like Charmadean and Chantel, it rolls off your tongue, innit? You don't say one without the other. Do you know what I mean? So now there's no Charmadean and Chantel, it's just Charmadean. So it's like, I need another to help me.
One half.
One half is sort of like, it's sort of like, in fact, it's like part of that identity is evaporated. So it's quite bizarre.
That is true in terms of like calling the name. You know, you go when you've got many children or a few children, you tend to call them all the same name, don't you? You know, you just get them mixed up, don't you? And so you're right in terms of you're not calling that other person's name in mixing you up. You know what I mean? So tell us a little bit more about. No, go on, Marcy.
I was going to say to Charmadean to tell us a little bit about how it's actually impacting you emotionally.
I think it's bizarre because I think when my sister first passed away, there was a lot of like guilt around it, in terms of not actually acknowledging and giving it the credit, giving that relationship the credit it deserved, and sort of taking it for granted. And I feel like that the guilt came from that, because in my head I'm thinking, well, me and my sister we're gonna be old, so there's more time, and taking time for granted. So I think for me emotionally it's like there's a void, there's a hole, but also the guilt around just being like, you learn how to count from 1 to 100, don't you? And you think, well, we're gonna get to in our 70s, 80s together. So I'm counting the years. And she would have been 40. So in my head I'm thinking, well, I was 40, and when I was 40, she did this for me. So when she's 40, I'm going to do that. And then because she didn't make it to 40, it was like, how is that even possible? And also as well, I thought to myself, especially when we were looking at my sister's journals and things like that. So for me, I was very reluctant to read them, because in my mind I'm thinking that's her private information. So a lot of the stuff they didn't read, because you've written them for a reason and they're private for a reason. So I'm not going to break her trust. So there's still that trying to uphold her memory, uphold her values in that respect.
That's right.
But I think the feeling is, it's just really strange. It's because it's like we could have been twins because of how close in age we are. And then I feel like I project that onto my kids because they're close in age. So when they fall out and stuff like that, I feel like it makes me even more say, nah, we ain't gonna do this, because I wish my sister was here. So when you start going on with your bagger, just remember that one of you couldn't be here. Do you know what I mean? And because my daughter's got a medical condition as well, I think I'm even more, I think it heightens my anxiety in that respect.
You want to see them remain close.
I want to see them thriving together, do you know what I mean? And just be together for like forever and ever, I mean.
What you didn't have.
Because you just don't know when it's gonna, if it's gonna end or when it's gonna end. So I think it's informed how I respond to things.
You said something powerful just a while ago, and I don't know whether the listeners heard that or caught what you said regarding Chantal journaling and her, that, you know, she wrote journals, she loved writing, she was gifted at that, and she had loads of journals, as we know. And you just said about when it's journals, it's like for them, isn't it? It's their private, their personal thing, and you know what I mean, like a secret diary kind of thing, you know. And in passing, you just said that you didn't read those journals because there were memories that she had. And you like, you know, upholding her, honouring,
dignity, and also as well, me and my sister had like a real love-hate relationship. So she could have written that journal. My sister's got on my nerves. I can't stand that, but I don't want to read that when she's passed away because I want to be able to ask her what did I do. So I can apologise. I can tell her about her head side. So if I read that now, what happens is that I internalise that memory and I can't move past it. So for me, it's also about protecting myself as well.
That's very important.
Because as I said, she could have written anything about me in them journals.
And that's true. And that could be so devastating as well because, like you said, imagine you come and we have arguments, families, parents, wives, husbands, children have, you know, family arguments, and you're right, because in that journal on that day it could have been my mum got on my nerves or my sister got on my nerves or whoever, and then you read that and like you said, there's no conversation with that person.
And also as well, there's perspective, isn't there? So for me, I think I'm quite good at reflecting. I think I'm quite good at reflecting. But there's perspective, so she might have seen it from one perspective and I might have seen it from another's perspective, and I think that I'm right, she thinks that she's right, or I might think that I'm wrong, but there's no conversation, or there could have been a conversation after she's written that, but she hasn't documented the conversation, so there's no flow in terms of how the conflict's been resolved or not, and I think then that would have impacted my identity because I would have been starting to internalise my sister didn't actually really like me, or did she, or what was that all about? So I think there's an importance in respecting and not delving into private memoirs. It's like, you know, when you watch a soap and somebody listens to the conversation at the end but they don't get the beginning, or they walk off before the conversation's ended, and then they tell themselves a story, don't they?
That's right.
I think that
I think it's
important
safe
for me not to do
safe
that.
not to delve into
definitely.
those. Understand fully. You know, that's because I kept journals when Alex was a baby, right the way up to several years, and sometimes I did say to her that I have journals, and she said she'd love to read them. And I said to her, well, they are like the diary of a mad black woman. there were some times when I was angry and I would write so fast you wouldn't recognize my handwriting. And there are times I'm praying. And then sometimes I'm coming up with solutions. So it's just venting everything into the book. It's because not for anyone else to read.
Exactly. And that's why it's in the book, shut in the back of the closet and not posted on social media.
But then it also raises that question, well, not question, that the thought that when you're writing things, you know what I mean, we write things like journals, not knowing that, God forbid, anything could happen to us. Somebody comes along and reads that, you know what I mean?
And and on the back of what you just said, I'm very conscious now. So what happened to me was when my sister passed away, because I used to write journal and prayers and stuff like that, I thought, let me just burn this book. I don't want no one to read nothing that I've written in here. So anything that's like my intimate thoughts, I keep in my head. And the other stuff I journal, because in my head I'm thinking, if I pass away and then my kids have to come and read this, or my friends or my mum or what have you. So what's happened shifted my identity, shifted the way I move, because now I'm thinking, don't do that because of that. I mean, another bizarre thing was like, and I said to you the other day, didn't I, Mum? I need to decorate my bedroom because if I take sick, I need and people need to come and see me in my room. I don't want them to come in my room and it doesn't look the way I want it to look. So now I'm starting to think of all these things that shifted my identity in some ways, because I'm thinking about the unspoken or what, the unknown. I'm trying to prepare, but I'm a control freak, so that's probably why.
But that again comes back to do with the fact that you had to go to sister's that was Chantal's,
Mm-hmm.
and go through that process. You were there. You were in her bedroom.
Yeah.
And you know, God, thank God it was you that was in her bedroom, and her
Right.
brother and her partner at the time. You know, it wasn't all and sundry, but all those things. So it's like subconsciously, it's realigned you, hasn't it? Realigned your thinking in terms of your identity. Because there's things now that you do as a result of that.
And also as well, it's like I'm trying to control what people see.
Yeah.
So in terms of my identity, so if you had to come to my house,
Yes.
you wouldn't think, Charmadean this or do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because now I'm like, okay, I'm planning for that eventuality.
Yeah.
So I'm seen in a certain light.
Yeah.
And that's my identity.
You're getting
isn't it?
organised.
Yeah, so I just look like I'm just
sorted and
serene and
declutter and
organised.
everything in one go.
Exactly.
Yes.
But is that your real identity though? Or is it a masked identity, or is it a mixture of both?
And you.
You know what I mean? Okay, are you living now? Are you living as the true identity as Charmadean, or are you living in a kind of state because of all of this as Charmadean?
I would say it is part of the coping mechanism. I think it's more to do with how I control the grief around it.
Yes.
So in my mind, I'm thinking if I can prepare myself and my close ones to deal with grieving me, to make it easier. So I don't think I've got a mask on. I just think that because I've been through that, what I want to do is make sure that my family have an easier time. So doing the decluttering and things like that. So my sister was quite meticulous in terms of she didn't have lots of checker and clutter and trinkets and all the rest of it. And she was very organised. And I think we have that in common in terms of being organised and not holding on to things. But I think part of my identity is I want people to see me as the person and not all the stuff. So I want to make sure that I don't have all the stuff.
So would you say then that you have a new identity? Because before Charmadean passed, Chantal, sorry, before Chantal passed, you had a different relationship, a different life, a different way of living. But since she's gone now, and you've gone through the grieving process and not realizations come along, you feel as if you've accepted a loss to a certain degree because we know that it takes longer. But the way you were is different now.
I think a combination of losing my sister and then losing my grandson has made me realise that I need to, I wouldn't say it's a new identity. I think it's resetting back to factory settings because I think I lost my identity in the first place. Do you know what I mean? I think, you know, you go through life, you get a job, you have kids, you get married, you don't get married, or you get divorced or what have you. And all those things create layers. And actually then what happens is the essence of you in the centre, you don't know who that person is. So I think losing my sister and losing my grandson has helped me to sort of realign myself. Because prior to having children and prior to, like, you know, all those years back, I was quite out there and I'm not saying that I've changed in that way because you know with age comes responsibility, but I feel like, you know, it's like I've gone back to working at a local authority that I didn't work before, and people are saying that they didn't recognise me and things like this because of I think what happened is I let life happen to me. So now I'm like conscious, so I'm conscious that I'm not wearing my trauma on my face. So if you see me, you would never know that I've been through those things unless you see me go to the corner shop. You might think to yourself, what the but if I'm going anywhere, if I'm going to work, I make sure that I wear my clothes, so I don't have work clothes or wear what I want to wear. Do you know what I mean? So, and people say, where are you going in them heels? I said, because they're in my wardrobe to wear, and I want to wear them.
That's right. Yes, that is true.
As long as they're appropriate. So I think it's just helped me to realise who I am, and I think also as well part of my identity is that I've always had a foundation in Christ and Christianity. So my foundation is you know, it's wavered over the years. But now I think I'm more grounded in that. And so then I'm understanding my identity in Christ as well, which I think is really important and has been like solid for me to be able to get to where I am, because I feel like if I didn't have that identity in Christ, if I didn't recognise that I am the daughter of the most royal king, then I would be, I don't know where I'd be.
So it makes you stronger and help you to move forward.
Definitely.
You're never alone.
Definitely.
So your faith has anchored you in terms of this journey of losing Shan. And so, you know, you said if you weren't a Christian, and we know the Christian journey is not always an easy one. It's not it's not always easy, but it is possible. And you know, it's like you know, there are challenges with it, but you've come to that faith, you've come to realize that Christ is your Lord and Savior. So that is fundamental in terms of your walk now. But what my question, another question I want to ask you, what would you say has been the biggest challenge in terms of your losing your identity, in terms of Shan? What are some of the biggest challenges that you've gone through, and what are the coping mechanisms that you've put in place?
I think the biggest challenge that I've been through is I think compassion is major.
Can you elaborate?
Yeah, so I would say that I'm a compassionate person. And I think compassion can come from all places. So the biggest challenge that I've had with my loss of my sister and then my grandson is that compassion hasn't come from the place that I thought it was going to come from. It's come from everywhere. To be fair, it's come from everywhere. I've been in the supermarket and people have said, and then they've talked to me. People that I probably didn't get on with school. You know, it's come from places that have been unexpected, but the places that I expected it to come from, it didn't come from. So that's been a big challenge for me, but that's also shifted my identity. So what's happened to me now is I'm thinking to myself, do you know what, Charm, you're 46, you don't have to people please, you don't have to accept the bare minimum. You know, people are not going to understand your loss because they haven't experienced it. And that's actually okay, but it doesn't mean you have to, what's a professional word for pet and pamper? I don't know, you don't have to, you don't have to pacify people. At the end of the day, I'm the one that's experienced the loss. So, and it's my grief. So I'm okay to just sit in it. And then another challenge is accepting that you need to sit in the grief. So you need to ride the wave when the wave comes.
That's so true.
But I do have a coping strategy. So what I tend to do is that if I feel the wave coming, let it come, but I don't let it consume me. So I'm like, okay then, 3 days max you're going to feel like this. Probably even 2 hours depending on what I'm doing. But at 2, 3, 6 o'clock, done. Get back on the bike and carry on. So that's my coping strategy. But I do think that's one of the biggest challenges is not just losing my sister, but losing relationships and friendships that I thought were actually foundation.
It's hard, isn't it? Because like you said, people don't understand. You know, they have a saying, you know, unless you in it or gone through it, you can't really understand. And everybody grieves differently. And like you said earlier on, the support that you expected, you know, wasn't actually there in some cases.
In some cases, and but then
they shy away because they do not know how to approach you. Some people may not even want to ask you how you are. And that can affect the relationship because you expect them to be coming closer to you, but they will shy away because they can't cope.
I totally get that, and I think that's something that I need to sort of work on a little bit more. I don't think I'm at the stage
Yes.
in my identity where I accept that at the moment, because to me it just doesn't logically make sense. Because if a stranger can come to you and say, "You okay?" And you know what? You don't even have to ask somebody if they're okay. You just need to call them and say, "What have you been up to today?" That's a way of asking somebody if they're okay. You don't have to. You don't have to ask them, "How are you feeling today?" Do you know what I mean? So, I do get that point that people struggle to cope with things, but then I think to myself, well, how would you cope if you were sitting in it then?
Yeah, but I think Marcia's got a good point there. In that she could be, it could be that some people don't know what to say. You know what I mean?
Across the road.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't make excuses for others who you expect to just, you know what I mean?
It's another loss as well, because you thought they were close to you and they were bona fide, and then to find that this distance has just gone months, weeks, years have gone, and they haven't made the effort to come back and say, well, I couldn't be there for you.
I think for me as well, I do think that I am somebody who always tries to understand other people. So I have reflective conversations with friends, mom, with my husband, with my kids, and I'll always have a conversation about what the other person's perspective is. And so, okay, then they might be doing that because of this, or because it's the nature of my job that I do. I analyse a lot, and I overanalyse, and I overthink, and I overanalyse and overthink. But then in this scenario, because now I'm forming my own identity, what I'm thinking is, or what I've come to the realisation is that I don't need to find a reason for why somebody hasn't done what I expect them to do. I'm expecting them to do something according to my standards, based on what I would do, and they haven't got the capacity to do it, or they don't have the wherewithal to do it, or they don't have the desire to do it. Whichever one that is, it's none of my business. So my identity shifted in that way, in terms of I don't always have to try and find a reason as to accommodate. To accommodate. And then just cleaving to the people that do hold me in that regard, to reach out, and I obviously do the same as well where I can.
Okay, so somebody's listening to this podcast and they're in a situation similar to yourself, or not, as the case may be, and they feel as though they've lost their identity, whether it's through losing a loved one or another way, and there's something else that's caused that to happen. What would you do? What would you say to encourage someone? It might not be the same situation as you, but just in terms of, we're talking about losing identity. That's what we're talking about today on Tapestry of Loss. Charmadean is our guest. Marcia and myself are the presenters. But just to, what would you say to somebody that was listening? How could you encourage them and give them some practical advice?
Practical advice in terms of reforming or finding your identity. I think it's important to strip back the layers of all the things that make you who you are. So if somebody says to you, "Who are you?" You can introduce yourself as, "Oh, I'm Charmadean, and I'm a mom and I'm a wife," but that's not who you are. Who are you as an individual, as a standalone? Take away the fact that you've got children, take away the fact that you've got that job, take away the fact that you've got a pet. Who are you in that moment? And that takes a lot of work. So that you have to literally do a lot of reflecting, and you have to sit, and you have to rest, and you have to give your brain a break. Because if you don't do that, you will never discover
how do you rest your brain in this technological world? We're always scrolling on our phone, and how do you rest your brain in a practical way?
I think for me, rest has been, it's interesting because I reflected and I did some Bible study, and it was about in Genesis, and God created the world in 7 days. And then on the 7th day he rested. So I'm like, well, if God rested after we did all that, surely I cannot have to wash up. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes we can get so caught up with the mundane things day to day. I think you have to be, a friend of mine said this to us last week, you have to be proactive and not reactive.
Mm.
So if you can do as much as you can to help yourself be prepared for the next day or the next day or what have you,
Yes.
then you should have enough time to then rest. So instead of like getting up in the morning and then making your lunch and then ironing your clothes for work, if you do it from the night before, then you'll have more time in the morning, which is where you rest.
Yeah,
Yes.
So there's a level of organisation to it,
Yes. Yeah.
but also as well, it's about being kind to yourself as well, and thinking to yourself, well, if I don't do that, what is the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But that gets caught up in come back into our identity, doesn't it? Identity. My identity is that I've got to do this and I've got to be doing that, and it's all part of the makeup. But like you said, there's times that you need to.
That has come along as you start to realise that you need to do things differently. You're behaving differently. Everything about you is different.
I think it's definitely important to rest. It's definitely important to be kind to yourself, and I think it's important to slow down as well. I think at my most heightened state, when I realised that I needed to rest, is when I drove through the barrier at work, and that was just recently. That was a few months ago, and I thought to myself, you're going 100 miles an hour. You actually need to sit down, and I think it was quite harrowing because there was a lot of things that happened leading up to that, and a lot of things that could have happened. That so my mind started thinking of worst case scenario. You could have been under a lorry, you could have gone to that brick wall, you could be dead. Mum would have to go through that all over again. So I'm thinking and thinking and thinking, and actually, because I was rushing, what I didn't do was put the handbrake on my car properly. So when I reached out the window to scan my pass, my foot went on the accelerator and went straight through the barrier. Wow. That's when I realised that I needed to rest. That was a sign. You need to just chill out. Because I just kept rushing to do this, rushing to See, I think sometimes you'll get a sign. You'll get a sign that you need to rest. Sometimes it can be a health sign. Sometimes it can be a physical, practical sign. Well, you will get that sign. But my advice would be, do before you get the sign.
And another question, and the final question for Charmadean, would you say it's good to talk? Another
100%, 100%. I think it's important to find the right people to talk to, and sometimes
right people. Define right people, if that's a word,
I think when you talk to people, you need to differentiate between if you want them to just listen or you want advice, because sometimes all you want to do is rant and you don't want them to say anything back.
That's true.
And sometimes you want them to either validate your feelings but also hold you accountable as well. So I think you need to have a combination of people that you speak to that can hold you accountable, give you practical advice. They're not biased, and they'll tell you, actually, I think you're out of order, or actually, I don't think that's a good idea. Because what you don't want to do is talk to people that just help you to carry on making poor decisions.
That's true.
But also people that have got wisdom as well, so that they can help you to reflect and steer you in the right direction as well. It can be quite difficult. Some of them will be in your friendship group, some of them will be even professional. But I think it's very important to speak to the right people and then use your wisdom to filter them out, because sometimes it might be the right person for a season.
That's so true.
But then actually after that you realise, actually, I'm speaking to you and something ain't right about this conversation. I'm oversharing and you don't tell me nothing about yourself. So it's like, do you know what I mean? So you've got to be very careful, and it can be quite difficult, and you might get burnt a few times before you find the right person or people to speak to.
I think we've had a very wonderful time sharing with us. Martha, your final thoughts?
Well, I want to say to Charmadean, I do pray that you'll continue to rebuild and regenerate and become. You're a lovely person, even a lovelier, better person. I was happy to meet you. It is good to have people that will listen and, as you say, will reflect back to you and help you to
Mm.
make the right decision. I do believe that there are people that do not know how to approach someone who's going through difficult periods, and some people will just run with it and ignore you. You need people around you, you need the right people around you when you're going through things. I have experienced grief, but I've also experienced a sad news that made me realize that I wasn't living the life that I thought I was living.
Wow.
When I found out that I had a stepson that I never knew existed.
Oh, wow.
Oh, right,
And,
yeah.
And I keep thinking, oh, I went on that holiday, oh, we did this, we did that, and that poor child didn't experience any of this, you know, and I felt sorry for him, you know, and I kept thinking, but there I am telling people I've got 2 kids. Telling people I've got 2 kids. I've got 2 kids in the family and we don't. You know, there's another child that I didn't know about, but I'm just telling people that I've got what I know until suddenly, bang, realize it's not. You know, it's different from grieving, but it's like a lost.
It is a loss.
Who I was.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a loss of your
yeah,
identity.
yeah.
It's a loss of your identity.
Yeah, definitely. Because you thought you had 2 children,
Yeah.
you got 3.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a new identity. You know, another
All of a
idea.
sudden, and he's
Yeah.
lovely. He's lovely person. You know, it's not nothing to do with him, is it?
Right, well,
Yes,
there you
God
go.
bless him.
Yeah.
You know, so yes, that's my final thoughts. Really, keep going, keep building, keep generating yourself, and time heals.
Yeah.
Time heals. You know.
My I don't know if there's a question or statement for you, Shams. So you're living with a new norm, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely.
You're living with a new norm. So how, on a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of your identity, rebuilding that new identity, you know, where would you say you are? Have you got to 10 yet, or are you still number 1, or are you in the middle? Where are you?
It's bizarre because I don't think it'll ever get to 10.
No, I was going to say that you never.
I don't think it'll ever get to 10. I think you can strive to get to 10. But I think because that life has many layers, there's always going to be something that challenges your identity in terms of who you are. If you're a female, if you're a woman, I know men have their sort of, you know, their things, but like, you know, menopause, you know, you might hair start thinning, you know, there's lots of things that, you know, that come up. You know, your children move out and go to university. There's all those things that are the cycle of life. So your identity will always shift. But I think then if you anchor yourself in terms of who you are, all those things might come at you. You just need to readjust every time. So I don't think you'll ever get to a 10.
No.
It's a changing cycle.
Yeah. I think on a scale of 1 to 10 for me, I would say, with 10 being fully formed identity and 1 haven't got a clue of who I am, I would say I'm probably a 6.
Good, yeah, good. And we don't have a scale.
No.
Yeah.
If anybody listening thinking, what's that scale? There isn't a scale. It's just a question that came to mind, and I just posed it. So there isn't a scale as such. You just wanted to try and find out where are you, where's Charmadean at?
Just striving.
Yeah, you know.
Striving.
And I don't think you'll ever come to like the 10 because Chantal is still a part of your identity.
Right.
She's a part of your identity. Our identity. She's not here with us, but she, you know, you can't not home in on that. You know what I mean? She's always there with you. And what would you say to those listening today? Your final word before we close. I think this has been a very good discussion today. Final thoughts.
I think my final thoughts are around loss. Is that despite the loss that you experience, you still are who you are. So whilst my sister formed part of my identity, there's still a part of me that's separate to her. So don't get caught up in the fact that if somebody's no longer with you, whether they are have passed away or is divorced or anything like that, you can shine in your own light. You can stand on your own foundation. So if you do experience a loss of any kind, just be true to yourself. Remember that you can shine, and don't let anybody dim your light.
Amen.
Amen. Once again, we want to say thank you so much to Charmadean. Yes, she's my daughter, but she's just a wonderful woman, and she's come a long way. There's so many challenges that she's gone through. And Charmadean, thank you for coming along today
Thank you for having me.
and sharing. And I'm sure it's going to be a blessing to many others. So from me, Ashana,
And Marcia.
And me, Charmadean.
we're saying bye for now. This is Sisters in Sync.
Sisters in sync, the tapestry of loss. Every loss deserves to be seen, heard and understood. Hosted by Hashana Knight and Marcia Bennett.
Bye.
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 Bye.